Hey everyone, let's get our mixed media on, but let's cheat a little by using this background by Vicky Budin, which has already got some mixed media and some happiness going on. So it's got the four colours, but also there's some crosses in the background in a few different spots that blend in really nicely but are visible to the eye. So I'm going to add to already what's happening by using some modelling paste that I'm going to colour with the Vicky Budin art crayons and add them across the page as part of the background. So I'm just going to put a little dab, well I guess it's a decent sized dab of modelling paste, and then I'm just scribbling the colour straight on my mat so that I can use that colour to mix into the modelling paste and get the desired tone that I need. So I do mix it in. You got to make sure you mix it in fairly well, otherwise, unless you want some of the white streaks as you're using it, so that it's sort of like a marbled colour instead of being fully mixed. But I did want it fully mixed, and I did want it a bit more vibrant, so I do bring in some more of the crayon. I'm just going to mix it in, and then I'm going to use this little stencil that we also got in a kit many moons ago. So you can see I've obviously used blue on it and didn't clean it very well. But that's okay, it's stained now, so it's not going to ruin a current layout. I'm just going to put a few crosses around. I don't use all the crosses on the square, because then that's going to give me a really defined square on my layout and not be a bit random and haphazard. So I do leave some of them on the edges not filled in, so that you can see that the sides are up and down rather than straight. Other times you do want a straight edge with your modelling paste, texture paste areas, but this is not one of those times. So there we go. You can see how that all comes together. Just putting it in a few of the places, thinking I will put my photo in the middle where that yellow section is. And I'm just going to use a baby wipe to clean up the area, clean up the spatula, the mat and the stencil. Otherwise, go and grab some water, make sure you wash it up in the sink, whatnot, rather than letting it dry, because it will ruin the edges of the stencil, so that the stencil is no longer crisp when it's used. So I've pulled out this photo of Oliver holding his bunny while we're waiting to see the vet, and I'm going to use some of these little cards and patterns that I've made from the pocket page cards to back and layer the photo. So I've got a few different pieces that I pull out to use, and then I'm just going to have a little play with working out how they could loosely go together, and then working out the exact plan so I know exactly where they're going to go. So you can see here I've got a wide range of colours and patterns and whatnot, because Deb has made quite a range of pocket page cards and embellies for us to use this month, just like every other month. I've got that little 4x6 card, and then these 3x4 cards that I'm thinking to pull out to use. So I just bring some things together and then work out exactly how it's going to go together when I've got all the things accumulated. So you can see here I've got quite a bit happening, so I'm just going to move some to the side and start working on the things I know for sure. And then first I'm going to cut down the photo, because it's just a little bit too big and a bit of white space happening that was not necessary. Add this orange as a border. I do need to cut the bottom where it's all it's been sprayed when I first made it, so it's got the colour falling down. And then have a place. You can see this pocket page card. If I put the photo in the middle, it covers in that white spot, but then also has a bit of the blue on either side. I then just cut it down the bottom so that there's no white hanging between the two colours. No one is any wiser. I'm working on adding some of these little pocket page cards for some different colour. I'm going to add this one, the green. I do cut off that half, that means I can use that flower if I fussy cut it, that bunch of flowers, in a different way. And I really like this card that says yes. One, because of the colour, just would be a nice pop of that darker blue, but also I love the phrase yes that's in the speech, well, the phrase, I love the way it's written, I guess, in the speech bubble. So it's a nice little embelly. So we're gonna yawn apparently, sorry guys. Just got to work with layering and putting them all together to make sure I got the setup the way I want it. So on with some yellow. Just going to rip the edge down the bottom. Remember, if you're ripping, if you want the white edge to stay on your work, then you need to hold the paper in your left, and then you use your right hand to rip, but rip it up towards yourself. If you don't want the white edge on your project, rip it down. So there we go. Coming together with some layers without being too overwhelming. I really like that clipboard piece of paper with a clip that makes it look like it's stuck to a fridge or stuck to a memo board. And in fact, I like it so much that it is going to end up on this layout. Finishing off the layering. So we've got this little card that I cut the words off so that I can use the words elsewhere, and then it just adds that little pop of that shade. I'm going to cut out these little pieces of paper with the clip because I think it'll be nice, fit nicer with the randomness of the background with the mixed media when it's cut, rather than it being a full 3x4 card. And it goes so nicely with that yes in terms of the colour. So there we go. I'm going to add that one there. I'm liking how the photo's sitting and the clipboard there. But first I'm going to use my gel pen to go around all the little crosses with the white of the gel pen, just to make them stand out a little bit, make them have a bit of a shadow. I do pull out my black pen to see if it was going to be black as the colour, but that's not the right thing to be doing today, so that's not what I use. I'm going to go around. I do fast forward and skip out all this because it did take me a little minute, but that's okay because it was worth it for the subtlety of looking at it. And it's one of those things that you can look at and you don't know it's adding to your experience of watching and looking, but without it, it makes such a difference. So I'm committing to those things, working on that. I do decide to put the yes up top with a little tuck in underneath the photo, and I decide to fussy cut this little rainbow and phrase off a pocket card, and think that I'm going to add it here and kind of straighten up my cuts, because we all know I don't bother usually with that, and so I'm not so great at it, but I am going to add it into this layout. I do pull in the thickers that say love, love, love. I didn't know what it was at the beginning, but I realised it works so well and looks like it exactly fits in like it was meant to be there, like the yes on the embellishment. So that's a nice repeating factor, bringing it down the bottom. And just having a little play, you can see I've got my trays of embellishments up the top. Excuse me. And then these sticker sheets that I'm going to pull a few things out, like this tab, this phrase sticker. I do put some fun foam behind that clipboard to make sure that it is up on the height of the photo, because the photo's got a few layers behind it. And actually glue it all down because I didn't realise until I went to put some more layers on that I actually hadn't glued it all down. I pull out this camera sticker, the colours just perfectly go, so that's going to tuck in there behind the yes. And then I remember that I did pull out a few little embelly pieces when I put this paper aside, thinking about what I was going to use it for in the planning. So I do bring them back in and put them in a few places. Sorry, I just went to get some glue. That sticker did not peel off properly. So I am going to add a phrase at the top and then a couple of a phrase and a journaling spot down the bottom, aka a label. So that's a little speech bubble up the top again, so that's cute, but more of a formal one in terms of the size of it and the shape of it, but that's going to work well. Added in the journaling spot down the bottom. Or do I not put another phrase down the bottom? I really thought I did. Isn't it funny? You don't have to take that long between filming and editing to forget all the things. I think that's sometimes the fun of creating, is that when, even if you're presented with the same supplies, you can sometimes do it different ways depending on the photo or your feeling and your mood of the day. So it's a bit like that when you're recording audio afterwards, to think about how it's going to come together. You could be predicting if you're not remembering fully, and it either can be the way it happened or can be a different way it can happen because you've looked at it in a different way. So I'm just adding some of these phrases down here to add off with words, Lauren, to finish off the little area with some embellies. I didn't want to bother too much with icons or anything. I do add in some puffy hearts and some sticker hearts, and you can see I've pulled out the sequins because I know I want to add some of them. In fact, when I was designing and planning, I knew I was going to use some of them. I do pull in this little sticker, this little printable embellishment that's got a stamp, and it's been ghost stamped as well, and I just tuck that underneath in the bottom cluster. And here's where I'm going to add in those finishing touches. I did put in some of those puffy hearts, so they're going to go around the end of those clusters, but also around the puffy hearts, and then a few other little bits and pieces around a few different places around to put these sequins. My gosh, words. So this is going to complete the layout. I'm not going to bother with too much more. You can definitely get a lot more layers in mixed media and put some colour in between your texture paste and whatnot. I do like the fact that I outlined it with the white, but I did actually put in some extra white crosses as well to add to the background. So here is the close-up. Let me know if you use this paper in its entirety and commit and add to it like I have today. So hopefully you're creating and getting your supplies used. Have a good day, guys. Bye.